a unique interview from before COVID with a cyclist who rode the AIME de Marie. I know you'll enjoy it, right here on Constant Procession. Well, putting away some of the work from the previous podcasts during the Way of the AIME pilgrimage, I uncovered a great interview from the year 2019 where I interviewed one of the bicyclists who was a pilgrim cyclist in 2019 and also 2018. During those AIME de Marie bicycle pilgrimages, they would take the entire summer to ride the AIME with those cyclist pilgrims, making a very personal pilgrimage to thank the Virgin Mary for her intercessions for them and others as they camped out and stayed with supporters at various stops along the way all summer long. I have a map of the stops they made on the podcast page for this podcast number 408. I interviewed Matthew, who took time right after his return to Paris, where he agreed to be interviewed. Thank you once again, Matthew. Also, I wish to once again thank one of our loyal listeners in France, Josie, for her keeping me up on things in France, but also to recognize her efforts from that particular year when she hosted Matthew and the other cyclist pilgrims on that very unique way to celebrate the Way of the AIME. This summer, I'm going to be working on my new book, working title Book 3. Book 3 will be a sequel to my second book, The Very Fine Light. And so while I devote more time to working on it, I will bring to you the audio version of my first book, The Constant Procession. It'll be read in installments through the summer. And if you sign up on the mailing list, you'll be kept up to speed on when the new title for the book comes up and other things going on for Book 3. Back to this podcast. Here is my interview with Matthew about his experiences riding the AIME de Marie back in the fall of 2019, before COVID came. A pilgrimage by bicycle. The Grand Love of Mary Cycling Tour 2019 has come to an end, and I've the distinct pleasure of following, and now I'm able to connect with Matthew, the team leader, as well as I heard from one of our own, Josie Penot. She's in France. And Josie shared a few thoughts because she was a generous supporter for hosting the cyclists in her home. And so from the U.S., I'd like to say, hello, Matthew.
Hello, Matthew speaking from Paris for the Grand AIME de Marie.
Thank you, Matthew, for your time and your speaking to us in English. You speak very well. Will you please tell our listeners a little bit about the tour you've just completed?
Our yearly pilgrimage by bicycle from Lourdes to Paris, La Rue du Bac, connecting different shrines where the Virgin Mary appeared during the 19th century.
So the trip is hundreds and hundreds of miles. That is truly an amazing dedication for honoring the Virgin Mary that you all have. And the main points of the AIME that make up these key apparition sites you mentioned, please remind us of those shrines.
From Lourdes to Pontmain in northern France, to Pellevoisin in the Loire Valley, to La Rue du Bac here in Paris, and all the way to Notre-Dame de la Salette in the Alps.
Rue du Bac in Paris. It's such an amazing place and is also a little confusing for some people because Rue du Bac is also known as the location of the Miraculous Medal. And I understand it's here at the Chapel of the Miraculous Medal, which was the final point for this year's tour. Matthew, how did you get involved with riding the AIME?
So it is the second time I'm taking part in Le Grand AIME de Marie. I discovered it last year through an article in a Christian magazine called Famille Chrétienne, and most of us actually this year had previously done the Grand AIME last year.
We'd love to hear a little more about your experiences, Matthew. Can you please tell us a little bit more about the tour?
So we spent 3 weeks cycling from Lourdes to Paris. We started as two a girl called Oriane and me during the first 8 days up to the Loire Valley. Then we were joined by 5 other bike pilgrims. Basically, we would wake up at 5 a.m., say the morning prayer together, have breakfast quickly, as to ride our bicycle in the very early morning to avoid the heat. And we arrived 7 in Pellevoisin and Pontmain, where we organized worshipping sessions, attended mass, recited the rosary with the local folks and pilgrims. Last week, the heat was truly excruciating, all the way up to 42 degrees Celsius. So as much as we could, we rode very early in the morning, avoided cycling in the afternoon, and spent much of our time praying in cathedrals and trying to spread the gospel in our way.
42 degrees Celsius, that's like almost 107 degrees Fahrenheit. It's way off the chart of comfort, even in a season of hot summer weather. It's hard to imagine pedaling in 107 degree heat, to my way of thinking.
And we were supposed to go on all the way to Notre-Dame de la Salette in the Alps.
So, well, I can imagine the hesitancy to complete that final leg of the M, especially with the weather. And as I remember from the terrain I've seen from the air, the Alps is a pretty rugged part of the world.
But unfortunately, we had to cancel it this year because there's nobody willing to go all the way up to the mountains this year.
Also, somehow it seems appropriate the pilgrimage ends in Paris this year, with all of us still in shock over the fire at Notre Dame. And I appreciated seeing the photograph of the 2019 tour group with Notre Dame behind you, and paying your respects in honor of Notre Dame before you ended the tour at Rue de Bac.
But we'll try again next year, and hopefully we'll manage to go all the way.
May God bless you, and I'm sure the Virgin Mary smiles on all of the pilgrims who care as much as you, Matthew, Oran, Gabriella, Raphael, Vincent, Eleanor, Antone, and Stefan. To follow up a bit from Josie, who I understand is traveling around Brittany, she told me, and I'd like to quote, "When they visited me, it was a delight to host the group. I attended Mass with them in L'Île Bouchard. We then prepared a picnic, and afterwards, the cyclists took a nap before their next segment of the trip. They also visited the church at Rolfi, where our 97-year-old priest gave them a tour and blessed them. They are all courteous, knowledgeable about many things, and courageous. I understand the day before they came, they covered 110 kilometers, partly in the rain. Well, on Saturday night, some German friends of mine dropped by unexpectedly, and I observed how the pilgrims told them about the Virgin Mary, gave them medals from Rue de Bac, and it was wonderful to meet them and to witness their dedication. And I'd like to express my appreciation to Josie for her dedication to supporting the cyclists' efforts to our wonderful mother, the Virgin Mary. Everyone involved in this year's efforts certainly shows their respect and love for her. Indeed, their actions truly have become a beacon for all of us in their great love for Mary. I'd also like to thank Matthew for the time he took with me on this special podcast. Oh, Matthew, you say it so much better. Le Grand AIME de Marie?
Le Grand AIME de Marie.
This is Nico Steves. I hope you enjoyed this installment. My book, The Very Fine Light, can be found using the title, The Very Fine Light, on Amazon.com. Please feel free to contact me at nicosteves.com. That's Nikos Steves, Steves.com. If you like this episode, and for more, share them with friends. Well, this is Nikos Steves. Thank you. See you next time.